As a young man, you are going to have problems if you cannot go into a room, shut the door, and be by yourself. Right now, most young men are lost. They are distracted simply because they cannot just sit down and embrace being by themselves. Now, let me ask you a serious question. When last or whenever have you been in a room to just listen to your own thoughts? High chances is never. Now think about it. If you have never listened to your own thoughts, listen to your own voice, what that means is everything you're currently doing is acting on the voices of other people. Really think it deep. You might think you're making your own choices, but no, your choices are being influenced by other people. You see, this whole idea of always needing somebody to be with or always needing something to be doing is a very, very big problem, because what that means is you are heavily distracted. If you truly get this concept, you basically understand the reason why always plugging your earphones is a major distraction. What's happening is you're basically programming your mind with all these ideas of other people. Think about it. The career path you chose, who chose it for you? The schools you went, who did it for you? You see, this problem is a problem that will last forever, because when you were young, people made choices for you. But at some point, there was never a period in your life where you made it intentional to start making your own choices. You may think you're making them, but not knowing that they're already influenced by people way before you became grown. Most people who have current career paths, and if you look at what some parents do, they intentionally influence the career path of their kids. Now, is that your story? Where you're always needing something to influence your choices. Now, how much of your life are you really, really living? But heck, my name is Tonore. I basically create content for young men to find their voice. And why that's special, why that's different is because we live in a world where the young man is just being attacked just because he's a man. And that process is made to feel guilty for being a man. And that itself leads to depression, anxiety, feeling lost in life. So one major reason we find it very difficult to be by ourselves is, they're saying, I can't remember where it came from, but he says, it's not our darkness that frightens us the most. It is our light. The truth is that when you're with yourself, you get to discover that you're not perfect. That your life, you make a lot of mistakes. Because when you sit down with yourself, you begin to judge your own self. You begin to be harsh with your own self. You begin to tell yourself the real truth. But guess what? That is where the largest growth comes from. Being able to see your own problems and solve them by yourself. Heck, if you ever know the power of rest, because most people think resting is by entertaining yourself. No. Resting is you're just being by yourself. And that is where all of your major life problems are being solved. If you can sit down by yourself and just be there for your subconscious mind to solve your problems. Have you ever been in a room where one answer floats into your head and you're wondering, why did I get the answer while I was looking for it? Is because when you're actively looking for a solution to a problem, you are dealing with a fraction of your mental capacity. But when you rest, when you're by yourself, guess what? You're using your full potential. And that's why they tell you, if you seek, you shall find, right? Now, doesn't mean you'll find it actively, or you'll find it. And you find solutions more when you are being with yourself, quiet. Now, if you've ever been in this improvement space or seen people who have improved their life drastically, there is not a single one who do not have a level of solitude. But on the other hand, if you don't embrace your own solitude, the question now becomes, why should other people embrace your own company? If you don't enjoy your company, why should other people enjoy yours? That's greed. So I'm basically employing you in this video to start to embrace this idea of solitude. Now, be very careful, because solitude and loneliness are two separate things, right? They look similar, but they're two separate things. Loneliness is caused by conditions, right? Situations, environments. These are people who want to be with friends, but for some very strange reasons, they can't make friends. Solitude, you see it as you doing things intentionally to be by yourself. Have you ever wondered why some people have good energy when you're around them, while others feel very shallow and empty? It's because they don't even like their company. So when you meet them, it feels like you're meeting an empty shell. They're not bringing their best out of you. And that is what I don't want to happen to you after watching this video. You see, another problem you see that with men not being able to sit down or be alone is that, apart from the distraction, is the fact that sometimes your mind is an attempt already knowing who you are, begins to create problems that not even exist in the first place. And again, we can't even sit down to process. And let me give you a very short story of something that came up to me and it completely changed the way I saw things. The way we keep portraying this gender war happening with the young men and young women, I kind of realized that, hold on, if I don't want to be with, right, these red flags that they talk about, why am I studying them so much? Why don't I study the ones I want? Because the mind is geared towards stimulation and problems. If you leave the mind to wander, not controlling your mind, not engaging your mind, guess what? It goes to things that you don't want. I tell you, it's easy for you to create what you want if you know what you don't want. So ever since, and I've given guys this formula and it works for them precisely in every area of life. Now with the women, if you think about it, and I'm just digressing here, but hear me out. If you think about it, right, if you're not the woman you want, if you're not the woman you don't want, which is maybe a walking red flag, automatically the opposite of that is what you want. Now, if you control your mind, if you speak yourself to basically really, really want that, trust me, all these baddies, all these degenerate women will no longer be interesting to you anymore. You could see them on social media, but they just scroll past you because you are beginning to orientate your mind to be comfortable with seeing what a wife or a feminine woman actually looks like. And that only happens when you're in good terms with yourself. There's a law by Jordan Peterson in his 12 Rules for Life. Second rule says, treat yourself like you're somebody who you're responsible for taking care of. Now think about it. This is how crazy this idea is. If you basically look at how people take care of their sick siblings, their sick grandma, their sick mom, they take care of them very, very seriously. When it comes to their own problems, they take their problems so lightly that it never becomes a problem until it's too late. Most people ignore their health. And these are things that if you really listen to your body, and speaking of listening to your body, there is this idea that men want to have as much sex as possible. And if you're somebody who has had a decent amount of sex, one thing you get to realize is if you're listening to your body, you get to realize that that's a very stupid thing to do. If you've really had sex and you basically listen to your body, you're calm with your body, right? You get to realize that this is not what you can do every day. Then guess what? You begin to aim for not quantity of sex, but quality of sex. And that's what I've been telling guys. But I know initially, all those course sellers will tell you, oh, don't worry, I have 1,000 body counts. You too can have it. Trust me, you don't want 1,000 body counts. Even though you are distracting yourself, which is what you are doing, you don't want 1,000 body counts. There's not a single man who is on his purpose who has 1,000 body counts. I have never seen any serious man about it. Decent, double digits, maybe high double digits, but 1,000. Do you know what 1,000 is? I don't even know 1,000 people. 1,000 means for the next 2 or 3 years, you're probably meeting different people. Think about it. For the next 2 or 3 years, you're probably meeting different, maybe, obviously, it's spread across different years. Right? Some people is maybe what, every 2 or 3 nights you're meeting somebody new, counting your body. But I think I digress. But the bottom line here is that if you can't sit down by yourself, it's difficult to know what you want. And if you don't know what you want, guess what? Everything you do will never have a why behind it. And if you do things, and which is what self-improvement and life is live your life with intentions, right? If you don't know why what you're doing, right, but your life can never have intentions. This is why I tell people that have a vision for your life, a vision that you have crafted. But you craft your vision easily if you have given it serious thoughts. And you give it serious thoughts when you know what you truly want. Right? And that is, it becomes easier when you sit down with yourself. So basically, it's just repeating myself, telling you to embrace the idea of solitude. Begin to listen to yourself. That is even the power of intuition. Your subconscious mind knows things that you don't know. I'm not here to get into this manifestation world because it's been heavily bastardized recently for the sake of profit, for the sake of selling courses or coaching. But no, that is it. If the more you are in touch with your intuition, trust me, the more things you can't explain, but it comes to you. So my name is Thundere, like I said. I basically make videos to help young men find their voice in life. And I'm basically dedicating most of my content to helping guys navigate life. A society where the young man is heavily insulted, heavily shamed just because he's a man. The honest truth is that the goal of these guys is just to get used to stop you. They really can't stop you. They really can't stop you from becoming a man. They can gaslight you, they can manipulate you. But the honest and the harsh truth is that if you listen to them and if you let them consume the voice in your head simply because you are always listening to them, you will lose yourself. Now think about it. Look at the men who control the world. Even there are some young men these days who have found their own voice. Think about it. Do you think they go after them? They don't. They only go after those who are weak, and I would say ignorant enough because they can listen to them. What that means is the more ears you give to these guys, the more they make you weak. Another reason for you what? To embrace solitude. Because when you are alone, you can basically ask yourself, what the fuck are you thinking? And guess what? you can begin to think about what it is you have been thinking about, which itself is a superpower. So if you leave me for this video, I could just keep talking over and over and over again about reasons why you should embrace solitude. And heck, solitude alone, right? I can tell you that there's no way you can be a man of his full potential if you have never embraced the idea of solitude. Now, I'm not asking you to be alone, no, which is completely different. My point is, even though your work, your life requires people, quite all right, but having that time to self-reflect, having that time to calculate about things that you really want to do is a hack for life. It's a hack that will completely level up anything you're doing in this life. And most people really don't want to level up. So if you, but there's one more thing I think I need to mention. Just one more thing. And the thing is, now life is very difficult if you're going about it alone. To be very frank, right? What you should do is create space for other people. Now that is a very powerful caution. Now, when you're very, very cautious of the space that you create for people, it's easier to establish boundaries. In that process, that is the foundation for healthy relationships. And this is why if you listen to any video about having healthy relationships, it starts with having a healthy relationship with yourself first, before you can then go ahead and have healthy relationships with other people, obviously. So when you love yourself, right? When you really embrace yourself and you create space, what that means is if you want to have a family, you create space for a partner, for a woman to walk into your life. Obviously, because you are in touch with yourself, the kind of woman you want, you create space for her. You create space for your kids. You create space for your friendship. And those things are healthy. And that is because it's healthy. And again, you do things much more intentionally because you are in tune with yourself. You embrace yourself. And when people come and people go, because people will come, people will go, you cannot control it. You will not be moved anymore. You will not be saddened by loss. You will not be saddened by separation, which is something that got from Miyoto Musashi. I feel you should check him out because any serious person who has improved himself to a different level has basically looked at his works. So if you made it this far, I'll tell you that you took yourself very, very serious. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.